When did gentle parenting become a thing? In this video, we're going to talk about the history of gentle parenting and what the results have been. Gentle parenting is not necessarily a new idea. Parenting actually is cyclical. Sometimes we go through the cycle where parents are a little bit more intense, maybe aggressive, maybe they're a little bit more authoritarian type in their parenting. And then because of the authoritarian movement, then what happens is the parents start to go a little bit permissive and they start thinking of the child in a little bit different way. Instead of keeping their roles in the right place, they start thinking of themselves on an equal level as their children. Then it will really turn dysfunctional, and so parents will want to reinvent the roles, and so then they come back to authoritarian parenting. So it just kind of like goes around and around and around. Even though the word gentle parenting is new, it's not necessarily new in concept. By the way, I do have to also say that there is another type of parenting, this other type of parenting, which is often referred to as authoritative parenting, which is very different than authoritarian parenting. Those two are opposites from each other. So authoritative parenting is a type of calm parenting where the parent has a plan ahead of time. They're super consistent in their teaching and correcting of their children. There's good family bonds. This is what I normally call the traditional strict form of parenting. So I actually teach parenting. This is one of my 15 parenting books that I've written. It's called Popular Parenting Methods. It talks about the 3 different types of parenting. So I label them modern progressive parenting. So that's the permissive style of parenting. And that's actually the style of parenting that gentle parenting would be classified under. And then there's the bully fear-based parenting. This is the authoritarian type parenting where the parents are really worried about control, fear, intimidation. They're often very emotional and expect the children to bend to all of their emotions. So just to be clear, in modern progressive parenting, which is the permissive style of parenting, it's the child who's expecting the parent to do all the bending. In the authoritarian parenting, which is that bully fear-based parenting, they are expecting all of the children and everyone around them, around the bully, to bend. And then there's the traditional strict type of parenting, which is the only constructive type of parenting, actually. The other two are destructive forms, and they end up creating bad behaviors. That the constructive form of parenting, which could be called authoritative parenting, is the one that is the desired. This book here teaches about all 3 types of parenting and recognizes that for many people there are a combination of some of those types because they haven't deliberately made a plan about what type they want to be. But when you read through a book like this as a couple, it helps you see what you're doing and why and what traps you're falling into, and then how to fix that for yourself. So it's super eye-opening. This is a great little gem for getting husband and wife on the same page with their parenting styles. So in 2007, Sarah Oatwell Smith, who's a British writer, kind of coined the phrase. I mean, maybe she got it from somewhere else, I don't know, but she popularized the phrase gentle parenting. She later wrote a book in 2015 that has the title Gentle Parenting in it, and then it became a really popular conversation after that fact, and maybe even a little bit before the book came, of course, in the social media world. So that was all the buzz. The new trend in parenting was, let's do gentle parenting, which sounds so nice. It sounds like the goal that you would want to parent your children and be gentle. That sounds pretty good. In fact, I can't say fully that that's not what Sarah Oatwell Smith actually expected to have happen. I think that she wasn't completely dismissive of parents, although the way that the trend rolled out, parents were definitely more of the passive person in the family dynamic and in this parenting dynamic. And I don't think people understood what she was going for if she wasn't aiming for what happened. So let me just tell you what happened with the gentle parenting movement, because it is an interesting story. And really, I believe that it could be one of those cases where maybe somebody only read half of the gentle parenting book, or maybe most people only read a part of it, and then they start talking about it online, and they were so excited about the part they read, which was all about emotions and validating emotions and respecting your children, to the level that the respect is like you view them as the same as you. I know that sounds desirable because it's like, well, they're a person, I'm a person, they're on a journey, I'm on a journey. But you weren't born to them. They were born to you, which gives you a different authority. It gives you a different role in their life. No matter what, even if you want to be seen as the same to them, or you want them to see you as the same, they won't. They won't ever, because your role is parent. You have the mother role or the father role, and they have the child role. And if those roles are ever confused, everyone is upset. And the child knows that they don't ever think of their parent as exactly the same as them. They see them as old. They see their ideas as new or better. I mean, this is very common. That happens especially during adolescence. The children recognize the parents have to take care of them. They don't and shouldn't see themselves as people who have to take care of their parents. It's a very different dynamic. And so this idea of putting them on the equal footing actually created a bit of a role confusion in a lot of families. Anyway, these types of things were some of the tenets to the gentle parenting movement. So another one of the books that I've written is called Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. This book doesn't talk about your responsibilities that you have. It talks about your roles, who you are to other people, if you disrupt that. So for instance, one of the roles of a parent is teacher, and one of the main roles of a child is learner. If the learners won't learn, or the teachers don't teach, there is dysfunction. So if the teachers are going to the learner and saying, hey, you just did this behavior, this thing, and let's say it was a really bad behavior, a destructive behavior, and they're going to their learner saying, you just did this behavior, so how about we get really deep into the why? Why do you think it happened? Let's dig deep, you know? I mean, you're pretty much soliciting some sort of an excuse, right? So then we're talking about all the excuses, all the feelings. Oh, I had frustrations, or I had whatever. So now you're piling up how this person is a victim of their circumstances, instead of saying, well, that's not the way that we handle this. This is what you should have done instead. Let's learn a lesson. Let's learn how to fix this. Let's learn how to do it different for the next time. Then we suddenly have a problem. People who are advocates of gentle parenting would say that they're probably advocates of boundaries. In fact, I would imagine they're big fans of the movement that has happened in recent years, where young adults, young parents are turning on their parents, and maybe even young people like in their teenage years, where they're saying, oh, well, my parents, I'm going to set up boundaries with them, which is basically like this new, very popular control technique, because basically they don't know how to handle communication with somebody who thinks differently than them. So maybe they have decided to change their viewpoints on religion, politics, whatever, and they feel like, well, if that other person won't believe the same with me, I got to cancel them. You know, that would be toxic for me. It's damaging. My guess is, that's a little bit of a tangent there, but my guess is that the gentle parenting movement would actually feed nicely into that, because it's all about emotions, how you're feeling, whose fault it is, and if you feel like you were respected. And then it's also about, you know, setting up boundaries and stuff. Now, ideally, a parent would set up boundaries and would talk about consequences. However, the gentle parenting movement, at least the way it was portrayed on social media, really made it clear that if you were correcting your child and telling them they earned a negative consequence, then that was belittling, it was shaming, because it wasn't keeping you on the same level as them. So one of the biggest things that the gentle parenting movement has done is actually created a roles problem in our society. And some of the outcomes have been pretty severe. So some things that have occurred because of the gentle parenting movement are children turning on their parents, parents getting very emotionally bogged down and feeling worn out, not being able to handle all of the emotions that are coming at them all the time. The children not actually learning how to problem solve, having increased problems, doing an extensive attention seeking with emotional issues so that, they can maintain that level of attention that they're, getting used to or whatever, or because they don't know how to solve their problems, I don't know. But that's a big thing. There's been a lot of risky behaviors happening, people not launching well into adult responsibilities because they're not used to taking responsibility for themselves. And there's impulsivity issues and emotional immaturity issues and stuff like that, that have occurred because of the gentle parenting movement. But because of those, just a few of those things, there are many people who have said, oh, whoa, we got to stop going down that road. We have ruined our children. We have created a problem. They can't get a job. They can't communicate effectively with other people without being the victim all the time, because it's very much a victim mindset. It's almost like looking for some sort of low-level trauma everywhere in order to find a why. Children do need to be taught why. They need to be taught why you would tell them to do a certain thing, like, hey, we need to come in from playing right now because dinner is ready. That's the why, okay? Or you need to be nice to your sister because you're going to know her for your whole life. And even if you don't get along now, guess what? People change. And so you need to be patient with each other so that you can have a good relationship later, right? That's a good why that could happen. So people do need to know why, but we don't need to say, just because something happens, who do we blame? Where's the why? Occasionally there might be a reason to dig into a why like that, but usually we just can say, all right, I can see you're frustrated. Let me help you handle your frustration. Here's a skill for that. Now that's what I would do in the teaching self-government model. So this whole channel here is teaching self-government. I talk about the teaching self-government method of teaching. This is where we teach children and parents the skills that they need for good, effective communication so that they're not battling each other and emotionally manipulating and controlling each other, so we can maintain the roles, we can maintain the function in the family. And it's really powerful. It's very liberating. It's something that people are learning all over the globe. And it's changing them. It's changing hearts. It's changing their families. Now, there's a lot more that I could teach you about what I teach with teaching self-government, and I would like to share that with you so that you could recognize the difference of self-government yourself with maybe what we've just been talking about here with gentle parenting and other approaches. You're welcome to visit more videos on this channel. There are just so many, but one that you might want to look at is one called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. So click on the link to that video next. It's a full-length class. It's going to go into detail about some of the skills and principles of self-government and what it would look like for your family.